I sat alone in my apartment on Christmas night, staring at my phone screen showing social media posts from my family's perfect holiday dinner at my sister's house. Hours earlier, my mother texted me that Christmas was canceled due to bad weather and everyone was staying home. I could see all their cars parked outside my sister Emily's house in the background of the photos. My hands shook as I scrolled through images of my parents, my sister, her husband, and even my brother laughing around a beautifully decorated table while I ate microwaved leftovers alone. The glow from my phone was the only light in my living room. Outside, a few snowflakes drifted past my window. Nothing like the catastrophic blizzard my mother had warned about. Nothing that would justify canceling Christmas. Nothing that explained why my entire family had lied to my face. 3 weeks earlier, everything seemed normal. I'm Maximilian, a 32-year-old civil engineer living about 2 hours from my hometown in central Pennsylvania. My apartment overlooks a quiet street in Harrisburg, close enough to visit family but far enough to have built my own life. That distance never bothered me before. I always made the drive for important occasions, always showed up when my family needed me. My family consists of my father Gerald, a 63-year-old retired factory supervisor with calloused hands and a quiet demeanor. My mother Patricia is 61, a school administrator who runs her building with the same firm control she tried to maintain over our household. My sister Emily is 35, 3 years older than me, married to Craig for 9 years with 2 kids, Sophie and Jake. Then there's Austin, my younger brother at 28, recently engaged to a woman named Jennifer who works in marketing. Growing up, I was the invisible middle child. Emily was the golden daughter, the firstborn who could do no wrong. Austin was the baby, coddled and protected, his mistakes always forgiven with a laugh and a pat on the head. I was the one in between, the one who never caused trouble, never demanded attention, never needed anything. I learned early that the way to earn love in our family was to be useful, to be dependable, to be the one who solved problems rather than created them. So that's what I became. When Emily bought her first house 5 years ago, I spent 3 weekends helping her renovate the kitchen. When Austin needed $5,000 for an engagement ring because he'd spent his savings on a fishing boat, I loaned him the money without hesitation. When my parents' plumbing burst last July, I drove down on a Saturday morning and spent 10 hours under their house in the crawl space, emerging covered in mud and rust. They thanked me with leftover meatloaf. I never kept score. I never expected repayment beyond gratitude. I thought that's what family meant. In early December, I went Christmas shopping with genuine excitement. I found a first edition book of poetry for Emily, who'd mentioned months ago that she missed reading. For Craig, I bought a premium set of golf clubs he'd been eyeing online. For my niece and nephew, educational toys that were actually fun. For Austin and Jennifer, matching watches I had custom engraved. For my parents, I arranged a weekend getaway to a bed and breakfast they'd honeymooned at 40 years ago. I spent over $2,000 total, but it felt worth it. This was going to be a special Christmas. My mother called me on December 10th, her voice warm through the phone. She told me Emily was hosting Christmas dinner at her new house for the first time. Emily had bought a beautiful colonial in the suburbs, 4 bedrooms with a dining room big enough for the whole family. Patricia said Emily was so excited to finally have space to entertain. I marked it on my calendar immediately, requested the 24th and 25th off work, planned my route to avoid highway traffic. Even bought a new sweater because my mother once mentioned I always wore the same 3 shirts to family events. On December 23rd, I was wrapping the last of the gifts in my living room, Christmas music playing from my laptop, when my phone buzzed. A text from my mother. "Sweetie, we're canceling Christmas dinner. Weather forecast looks terrible. Black ice warnings all over. Everyone agreed it's safer to stay home this year. So sorry. Maybe we'll do something in January when the roads are better." I stared at the message, watching the cheerful animation of falling snow on my screen. Disappointment settled in my chest like a stone. I pulled up the weather forecast on my computer. Yes, there was snow predicted for Christmas Eve. 3 to 5 inches. Hardly unusual for Pennsylvania in December. Hardly catastrophic. I texted back asking if she was sure. She responded quickly, saying everyone had decided together, It wasn't worth the risk. Stay safe, and we'll talk soon. I sat surrounded by wrapped presents and felt foolish. But this was my mother. She'd always been cautious, sometimes overly so. I convinced myself she was just being a protective parent, even to her adult children. I convinced myself this was reasonable. I should have known better. That night, I stacked all the wrapped gifts in my closet. I'd mail them after the holidays, I decided, or deliver them in January when we rescheduled. I microwaved a frozen dinner and watched a basketball game alone, telling myself it was fine. Just one Christmas. We'd make up for it. Christmas Eve arrived with light snow, exactly as predicted. Nothing dangerous. I woke up late, made coffee, and tried to enjoy the quiet. My apartment felt emptier than usual. I'd grown accustomed to living alone, even preferred it most days, but holidays had a way of highlighting the silence. Around 10 in the morning, I decided to video call my parents. My mother's face appeared on screen, and immediately I noticed she was wearing makeup. Her hair was styled. She wore the pearl earrings my father had given her on their anniversary. "Merry Christmas, sweetheart," she said, but her smile seemed tight. "Merry Christmas, Mom. You look nice. Just staying home today?" "Oh yes, just a quiet day here." She glanced away from the camera. "Your father and I are just relaxing." In the background, I heard my father's voice calling something I couldn't make out. "I should let you go," my mother said quickly. "We're just about to prepare some things. I'll call you later, okay?" The call ended before I could respond. I stared at my blank phone screen. Prepare some things? They were staying home. What was there to prepare? Something felt wrong, but I pushed the feeling away. I was being paranoid. My mother was allowed to dress nicely in her own home. Maybe they were watching church services online. Maybe she just felt like putting on earrings. I tried calling Austin next. Voicemail. Then Emily. Also voicemail. The day stretched long. I watched old movies, the kind my father and I used to watch together when I was a kid. White Christmas. It's a Wonderful Life. I made a sandwich for lunch. Heated up a frozen lasagna for dinner. The portions were meant for 4, so I'd have leftovers for days. By 7 in the evening, I was scrolling through my phone out of sheer boredom. I opened social media without thinking, just looking for some distraction from the loneliness that had been creeping in all day. That's when I saw it. Emily's post, uploaded 20 minutes ago. The photo showed our entire family gathered around a magnificent dining table. A golden roasted turkey sat in the center, surrounded by dishes of mashed potatoes, green beans, cranberry sauce, stuffing, rolls. Candles flickered. A Christmas tree sparkled in the corner, professionally decorated with silver and gold ornaments. My mother and father sat at one end, both dressed beautifully. My father wore a tie. My mother wore a red dress I'd never seen before. Austin and Jennifer sat across from Emily and Craig. My niece and nephew were caught mid-laugh, wearing matching Christmas pajamas. Even my Aunt Margaret and Uncle Tom were there, people we only saw on major holidays. The caption read, "Perfect holiday with the people who matter most." Feeling blessed and grateful, I zoomed in on the photo, my hands suddenly unsteady. Through the window behind the table, clearly visible in the evening darkness, were multiple cars parked in Emily's driveway and along the street. My father's distinctive blue pickup truck, with the dent in the tailgate. Austin's black sedan. My aunt's silver minivan. I scrolled down. More photos. A video of the kids opening presents. Another photo of everyone holding champagne glasses, toasting to something. The timestamp showed these were taken throughout the day, starting from early afternoon. This wasn't a last-minute gathering. This was planned. The decorations alone would have taken days to put up. The food preparation, the coordination, the invitation of extended family. My throat tightened. My vision blurred slightly at the edges. They had lied, deliberately, specifically to keep me away. I went back to the main photo, studying every detail with a kind of clinical detachment that comes from shock. That's when I noticed something in the background, partially visible on a side table. A wrapped present in brown paper, tied with twine. I used that exact wrapping for Emily's gift. I'd bought specialty vintage paper from a craft store, the kind with old botanical prints. It wasn't common. Then I remembered. Weeks ago, Austin had asked me what I was getting Emily for Christmas. I'd told him about the poetry book, mentioned I thought she'd appreciate something thoughtful. He'd asked follow-up questions. What kind of poetry? Which author? Where had I found it? I looked at the gift tag in the photo, zooming until the pixels fractured. From Austin to Emily. He'd copied my gift idea. After I'd specifically told him what I was giving her, they hadn't just excluded me. They'd planned around my absence, filled the space I would have occupied, taken the ideas I'd shared and used them as their own. I set my phone down on the coffee table and walked to my bedroom. I lay down on top of the covers, still fully dressed, staring at the ceiling. The apartment was completely silent, except for the hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. Outside, the snow continued to fall gently. Not a blizzard, not even close. I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that photo, that table full of family, that empty space where I should have been. Morning came gray and cold. December 26th. My phone started ringing at 9:30. My mother's name flashed on the screen. I stared at it for 3 rings before answering. Maximilian, honey, Merry belated Christmas. Her voice was bright, cheerful, completely normal. How was your day yesterday? Did you stay warm? What did you end up eating? I couldn't speak. My jaw felt locked. I made your father's favorite pot roast, even though it was just the 2 of us. She continued, filling the silence. So much food for 2 people. But you know how I cook. We'll be eating leftovers all week. Did you get much snow up there? Mom. My voice came out rough. Why are you lying to me? The cheerful tone vanished. What? I saw the photos. I know about the dinner. I know everyone was at Emily's house. Silence stretched between us, long enough that I checked to see if the call had dropped. Well, she finally said, her voice completely different now, cool and measured. If you saw the pictures, then you know we had a lovely time. The casual admission hit me like a slap. No denial. No scrambling for explanation. Just calm acknowledgement. Why? I asked. Why would you lie to me about Christmas being canceled? We decided as a family not to invite you this year. The bluntness of it stunned me. What? Why? Emily didn't want any tension at her first Christmas hosting. She wanted it to be peaceful and pleasant. What tension? I've never caused problems at family gatherings. I don't understand. My mother sighed. The kind of exasperated sigh she'd use when I was a child asking too many questions. You make people uncomfortable, Maximilian. You're always so judgmental. I stood up from my bed, pacing now. Judgmental? Mom, I'm the least judgmental person in this family. When have I ever judged anyone? You just have this way about you, this attitude. What attitude? Give me one example. Another pause. You make people feel bad about themselves. How? How do I make anyone feel bad? You just do, okay? Her voice rose slightly. Defensive now. Emily felt strongly about this, and we supported her decision. It's her house. She gets to decide who she invites. But you all lied about it. You could have just not invited me. Why make up a story about bad weather? We were trying to spare your feelings. By lying to my face and then posting photos online for me to see, we didn't think you'd be checking social media on Christmas. The reasoning was so absurd, I almost laughed. So the plan was to lie, have the dinner, and then what? Just never mention it? Pretend it didn't happen? We planned to tell you eventually. We just wanted to get through the holiday first. I don't understand what I did wrong. My voice cracked slightly. I hated that it did. Just tell me what I did. My mother was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was gentler, but somehow, that made it worse. At Thanksgiving, the one you missed because of work, Emily talked about some things. She said you always have to one-up everyone. When she bought her house, you congratulated her, but then mentioned you were saving for investment property. When Austin got engaged, you told everyone about your serious relationship. I was making conversation. I was trying to relate to them. Emily said it felt like you were competing, like you couldn't just let other people have their moments. I thought back to those conversations. I'd been happy for Emily about her house. I'd made one comment about looking into real estate investments someday. With Austin's engagement, I'd barely mentioned Sarah, My girlfriend at the time. We'd broken up 6 months ago. It had been a passing comment. That's insane, I said. Those were normal conversations. Well, that's how Emily felt. And at Thanksgiving, we all talked about it. Who's we? The family. So everyone sat around at Thanksgiving and talked about how terrible I am? Don't be dramatic. We just discussed whether it would be better to have a smaller, more intimate Christmas this year. Without me. Emily was very stressed about hosting. She didn't want to feel judged in her own home. What is there to judge? I'm happy she has a nice house. My mother's voice hardened again. See? This is exactly the problem. You don't even see it. You think you're better than everyone. I have never thought that. You make more money than Emily and Craig combined. You have this prestigious engineering job. You swoop in and fix everyone's problems like some kind of hero. It makes people feel inadequate. The accusation was so unfair, it left me speechless. I'd helped because I thought that's what family did. I'd never lorded my job or my salary over anyone. So I'm being punished for being successful? You're being excluded because you make people uncomfortable. There's a difference. Did Dad agree with this? She hesitated. Your father wanted to keep the peace, so he just went along with excluding me? Maximilian, this isn't about excluding you. This is about Emily's comfort in her own home. It's absolutely about excluding me. You lied to keep me away from Christmas. We'll talk when you're ready to understand our perspective, my mother said, her tone dismissive now, like she was ending a meeting with a difficult employee. I understand perfectly. You chose Emily's feelings over me. We chose family harmony. I'm family too. Then act like it. Stop making everything about you. The hypocrisy was breathtaking. I was the one making this about me. I was the one causing problems. I have to go, I said. Maximilian, don't be childish about this. I hung up. My phone immediately started ringing again. I declined the call. It rang 3 more times. I turned it off completely and sat in the silence of my apartment, trying to process what had just happened. My family had held a meeting about me. Without me, they'd discussed my personality, my career, my helpfulness, and decided it was all somehow negative. They'd voted me off Christmas, like I was a contestant on a reality show, and my mother thought I was being childish for being hurt. I sat on my couch for hours, replaying every family interaction I could remember. Every conversation, every holiday, every favor I'd done. I looked at them through this new lens, trying to see where I'd gone wrong, where I'd been competitive or judgmental or condescending. I came up empty. I'd been myself. Quiet, helpful, present. If anything, I'd been too accommodating, too willing to drop everything when someone needed something. Around 3 in the afternoon, my phone rang from a different number. Austin. Against my better judgment, I answered. Max, hey. Austin's voice was casual, like we were just catching up. Mom said you guys talked. She told me about Christmas. Yeah, look man, I'm sorry it went down like that. We didn't want to hurt you, but you did it anyway. Emily's been really stressed. The new house, the kids, Craig's job situation. We thought it was easier to just have a smaller gathering this year. Easier than what? Inviting your own brother? Easier than dealing with the tension. What tension, Austin? Give me one specific example of me causing tension at a family event. He was quiet for a moment. It's not about specific events. It's more like a general vibe. A vibe. Yeah, you're kind of closed off, you know? Emotionally distant. You never really open up about your feelings or your life. You're like a robot sometimes. The criticism stung because it was partially true. I wasn't emotionally demonstrative. I'd learned young that feelings were messy and unwelcome, so I'd become good at keeping them contained. So I'm excluded from Christmas because I'm not emotional enough? It's more complicated than that. Explain it then, Austin sighed. You always seem like you have everything figured out. Your job, your money, your life. It makes the rest of us feel like we're failing. That's not my fault. Maybe not, but that doesn't change how it feels. I stood and started pacing again. Do you remember last April when you needed $5,000 for Jennifer's ring? Come on, don't start. I gave it to you. No questions asked. Do you remember August when you needed help moving into your new apartment? I knew you'd do this. I drove down on a Saturday, spent 8 hours carrying your furniture, And you promised you'd help me the next month when I needed to move my office equipment. You canceled the day before. I had a work thing. You were hungover from your bachelor party. Jennifer told me. Are you seriously keeping score right now? You just told me I make everything transactional. I'm showing you that I don't. I helped you without expecting anything back. I've always helped you. And you wonder why people feel uncomfortable around you, Austin said, his voice rising. This right here. This is exactly what we mean. You remember every single thing you've ever done for anyone. You hold it over people. I'm not holding it over you. I'm pointing out that I've been a good brother. A good brother wouldn't throw past favors in my face. The logic was so twisted I couldn't untangle it. You're the one who brought up me being transactional. Because you are. Everything with you is calculated. You do nice things, but it feels like you're keeping a ledger. I've never asked for anything back. You don't have to ask. We can all feel it. The weight of your generosity. I sat back down, suddenly exhausted. So I should have just let you figure out the ring money yourself? Maybe. Yeah. Maybe we all need to solve our own problems instead of running to you every time. You called me. I didn't offer uninvited. Whatever, Max. I'm just trying to help you understand why Emily felt the way she did. And how do you feel? Honestly, I think you need to work on yourself. You're successful and smart, and you have your life together. But you're missing something. Heart, maybe. Connection. You've always been the family robot, and it's hard to be close to someone who doesn't let anyone in. The words hit harder than I expected. Austin had always looked up to me growing up, or at least I thought he had. I let people in. Do you? When's the last time you told any of us something real about your life? When's the last time you were vulnerable? I don't dump my problems on other people. That's not vulnerability. That's isolation. There's a difference. We sat in silence on the phone. I'm sorry you're hurt, Austin finally said, but maybe this is an opportunity for you to really look at how you relate to people. I relate fine to people. Then why are you 32 and single? Why don't you have close friends? Why is your whole life just work and occasionally showing up for family obligations? Each question felt like a small blade, accurate enough to cut. I have friends, I said weakly. Name 3 people you've hung out with in the past month who aren't coworkers. I couldn't. That's what I thought, Austin said, not unkindly. Look, I love you. You're my brother, but you're hard to love sometimes because you don't let anyone close enough to really know you. Maybe Emily did you a favor by forcing this conversation, by lying to me and excluding me from Christmas, by making you face some truths. I wanted to argue, but I was too tired. I need to go. Think about what I said, okay? I hung up without responding. 2 hours later, my phone buzzed with a text. Emily, I heard you and Austin talked. I'm sorry you're hurt, but you need to respect that this is my house and my Christmas. I get to decide who I want there. Maybe next year will be different if you work on yourself. I hope you can understand where I'm coming from. I read it 3 times. The casual entitlement, the implication that I was the problem, the dangling promise of conditional acceptance if I changed into someone they found more palatable. Something crystallized in me then, a clarity I'd never felt before. I wasn't the problem. I'd never been the problem. I'd been the solution. The fix-it person. The reliable one. The one who absorbed family dysfunction and asked for nothing in return. And they'd taken that for granted so thoroughly that my absence from one Christmas was framed as a gift to themselves. I opened my contacts and scrolled through. Family, co-workers, a few distant acquaintances. Austin was right about one thing. I didn't have close friends. I'd been so busy being useful to my family that I'd never built a life outside of them. That was going to change. I started typing a response to Emily, but deleted it. Then I blocked her number. I blocked Austin's number. I blocked my mother's number. I kept my father unblocked, but only because he'd never actually wronged me directly. He'd just failed to stand up for me, which was a different kind of betrayal. I wasn't going to beg for acceptance. I wasn't going to defend myself anymore. I was going to show them exactly what life looked like without me in it. The first week of January passed in determined silence. My phone stayed quiet without my family's numbers. I went to work, came home, went to the gym I'd joined on New Year's Day. I started seeing a therapist, something I'd considered for years but never prioritized. Her name was Dr. Rachel Morrison, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a direct manner. In our first session, I told her everything. "What I'm hearing," she said when I finished, "is that you've spent your whole life earning love through usefulness." The observation was so accurate it hurt. "And now that you've stopped being useful, you're discovering that the love was conditional. Is that wrong?" I asked. "To expect your family to love you even when you can't do things for them, it's not wrong. It's healthy. The question is whether they're capable of it." Over the next few weeks, I learned things about myself I'd avoided knowing. I learned that I'd confused being needed with being valued. I learned that I'd suppressed my own needs so thoroughly I barely knew what they were anymore. I learned that boundaries weren't selfish. They were necessary. On January 8th, my father called. I answered because I was curious. "Max, it's Dad." His voice was gruff, uncomfortable. He'd never been good with emotional conversations. "Hi, Dad. Your mother's beside herself. She says you've blocked her number." "I have. That's a bit extreme, don't you think?" "I don't, actually." He sighed heavily. "Look, I know Christmas was rough, but this family can't work if people aren't talking. This family hasn't been working for a while. I just didn't realize it." "That's dramatic." "Is it? You all had a meeting about me. You decided together to exclude me. You lied about it. And when I got hurt, I was told to work on myself. That doesn't sound like a functional family to me. We were trying to keep the peace. By sacrificing me. Emily's got a lot on her plate right now." "So do I, Dad. I've always had a lot on my plate. Nobody ever considered that. You're the strong one. You can handle things. That doesn't mean I should have to handle being lied to and rejected by my own family." Silence on the line. Then, the furnace broke. "I was hoping you could come take a look." And there it was, the real reason for the call. "Call a professional," I said calmly. "What?" "Call a heating company. That's what furnaces are for. But you've always fixed it before. You know the system. I'm sure a professional can figure it out. They do it for a living." "Maximilian, it's going to cost $300 to get someone out here." "Then it costs $300. That's ridiculous when you could just drive down and look at it." "I don't think it's ridiculous. I think it's appropriate. You need a service, you pay for a service. I'm your father, and I'm your son who you excluded from Christmas without a second thought. I'm practicing not being transactional, like Austin suggested. This is childish. No, Dad. This is me respecting boundaries. Emily didn't want me at her house because I make people uncomfortable. I'm giving everyone the space they ask for. We didn't ask for this. You asked me to work on myself. That's what I'm doing. I'm working on valuing myself enough not to accept being treated poorly. Your mother is very upset. She can call me herself when she's ready to apologize. She's not going to apologize. She doesn't think she did anything wrong. Then I guess we're at an impasse." My father's breathing was heavy on the line. "You're really going to let us freeze because you're having a tantrum?" The characterization made me angry. "I'm not having a tantrum. I'm setting a boundary. You have other options. You have Emily and Austin. You have money. You have resources. You'll be fine without me. You're being incredibly selfish. I'm being exactly as selfish as you taught me to be. I'm putting my needs first, just like you all put Emily's needs first on Christmas. That was different." "How?" He didn't have an answer. "Call a heating company, Dad. I need to go." I hung up feeling shaky but certain. 3 days later, Austin texted from a new number I hadn't blocked yet. "Hey, can I ask you something about work? Having an issue with a client contract and could use your advice." I stared at the message. The old Maximilian would have called immediately, walked him through it, probably even looked at the contract myself. The new Maximilian typed, "I'm trying not to be transactional. You should consult with your company's legal department. Are you serious right now?" "Completely. This is immature. This is me respecting your feedback. You said I keep score. I'm trying not to. I didn't mean you should never help anyone ever again." "Then what did you mean?" No response. I blocked his new number too. In mid-January, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Maximilian? It's Craig, Emily's husband. We'd barely ever spoken one-on-one in the 9 years he'd been part of the family. Craig, I know I have no right to ask you for anything. His voice was strained, almost desperate. But I need your help. With what? Emily's business. The boutique. It's failing. She took out a loan she can't repay and we're in serious trouble. I know you're good with financial planning and I thought maybe you could look at our situation and give us some advice. A month ago, I would have said yes immediately. Would have driven down that weekend with a laptop full of spreadsheets and solutions. I'm sorry to hear that, I said carefully. But I don't think I'm the right person to help. Please. We might lose the house. The kids' college funds. Everything. The desperation in his voice was real. I felt sympathy for him. Craig had always been decent to me, if distant. This wasn't his fault. Have you talked to a financial advisor? We can't afford one right now. There are free resources, non-profits that help small businesses. Your bank probably has consultation services. It's not the same as someone who knows us. Someone we can trust. Craig, I appreciate that you're in a tough spot. But Emily made it very clear that I make her uncomfortable. I don't think me getting involved in her business finances is going to help the situation. She feels terrible about Christmas. She won't say it, but I know she does. Then she can tell me herself. You know she won't. She's too proud. That's not my problem to solve. Maximilian, please, I'm begging you. We have 2 kids. We're going to lose everything. The guilt was intense. This was exactly the situation I'd always stepped into before. The crisis that needed fixing. The family member in trouble. But I held firm. You have other family. My parents, Austin. I'm sure they'll help. Your parents don't have money like you do. Austin's barely making his own bills. Then you need to talk to a professional. Cut expenses. Make a plan. I'm sorry, but I can't help you. Can't or won't? Both. Silence. Then, I thought you were better than this. Better than what? Better than having boundaries? Better than abandoning family when they need you. The accusation stung, but I pushed through it. I'm not abandoning anyone. I'm respecting the boundaries that were set. Emily didn't want me at Christmas because I make her feel inadequate. How is me swooping in to save her business going to make that better? It's just going to prove her point. She was wrong about you. Was she? Because from where I'm standing, the entire family seems to agree that I'm the problem. You're not the problem. They are. But you're also the only one who can help right now. No. I'm the only one you're asking because everyone else already said no, didn't they? His silence confirmed it. Good luck, Craig. I really do hope you figure it out. I hung up. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed with a series of texts from another unknown number. I knew before opening them that they were from my mother, texting from someone else's phone. I can't believe you would let your own sister lose her house. After everything we've done for you, this is unbelievably selfish. Your father and I are so disappointed. I blocked the number without responding. That night, I lay in bed feeling the weight of what I'd done. Not guilt, exactly, but something more complex. Grief. Maybe. Grief for the family I'd thought I had, the one where love was unconditional and people showed up for each other. But that family had never really existed. Or if it had, it only existed for some of us. Emily could demand space and accommodation. Austin could set boundaries about how he wanted to be treated. My mother could decide who deserved to be at Christmas. But when I tried to do the same, I was selfish, childish, abandoning. I thought about Craig's desperation, Emily's business failing, my parents' broken furnace. I thought about how easy it would be to fix these things. A few phone calls, some advice, maybe some money. I could solve all of it in a weekend. But then what? We'd go back to the pattern. Me being useful, them being grateful until the next crisis. Nothing would change except I'd have proven once again that my value lay in my utility. Dr. Morrison had asked me in our last session what I wanted from my family. I'd thought about it for a long time before answering. I want to be wanted, not needed. She'd nodded like I'd said something profound. I was learning the difference. February arrived with bitter cold and longer days. I'd been without my family for 6 weeks. In that time, I'd started to build something new. I joined a recreational basketball league and made acquaintance with a few guys my age. I started attending a book club at the library. I even went on a few dates through an app. Nothing serious, but a reminder that there was life outside my family orbit. On February 9th, I met Carolyn. She was a structural engineer at a firm we sometimes partnered with. We'd emailed professionally for months, but met face-to-face at a conference in Philadelphia. She had red hair, sharp wit, and a directness I found refreshing. We got coffee after the conference ended. Coffee turned into dinner. Dinner turned into a weekend trip to New York in late February. On Valentine's Day, we went to a nice Italian restaurant in Harrisburg. On impulse, I posted a photo of us together. My first personal social media post in months. We looked happy. We were happy. The next morning, my blocked message folder was full. I didn't read them. What I didn't expect was the call from the hospital 3 days later. "Is this Maximilian?" An unfamiliar woman's voice asked. "Yes. This is Harrisburg General Hospital. You're listed as an emergency contact for Gerald. Your father. He's been admitted." My stomach dropped. What happened? He had a mild heart attack. He's stable now, but he's going to need to stay for observation. Can you come down? I was in my car in 5 minutes. The drive to Harrisburg General felt endless. I gripped the steering wheel, mind racing. A heart attack. My father. Stable, they said. But what did that mean? How mild was mild? I found him in a room on the cardiac floor. He looked smaller in the hospital bed, older than his 63 years. My mother sat beside him, her face drawn. Emily and Austin were there too, along with Craig. They all turned when I walked in. The reunion was tense, awkward. Nobody seemed to know what to say. "How is he?" I asked the room in general. My father's eyes opened. "I'm fine. Doctors are being dramatic." "You had a heart attack," my mother said sharply. "That's not dramatic." I approached the bed. "What did the doctors say?" "Minor blockage. They put in a stent. I need to watch my diet and stress levels." He waved a hand dismissively. "I'll be out of here tomorrow. Day after tomorrow." A nurse corrected from the doorway. "Doctor wants to monitor you for 48 hours. After the nurse left, silence settled over the room. Emily stood. "I need to get the kids from school. Craig, you coming?" Craig glanced at me, then at Emily. "Actually, I think I'll stay a bit." Emily's jaw tightened, but she nodded. "Fine. I'll see you at home." After she left, Austin shifted uncomfortably. "Jennifer's waiting in the car. I should go too. Dad, I'll come back tomorrow." He left without looking at me. My mother stood. "I need coffee." "Gerald, you want anything?" "I'm hooked to an IV, Patricia." "What would I want?" She left without responding. It was just me, Craig, and my father. Gerald looked at me for a long moment. "Your mother called you." "The hospital did. I'm still listed as your emergency contact." "Ah." He seemed pleased by that. "Forgot to update the paperwork." "Glad I was reachable." "Me too." Craig cleared his throat. "I'm going to step out for a minute. Give you two some privacy." After he left, my father and I sat in uncomfortable silence. "I heard you have a girlfriend," he finally said. "I'm seeing someone. It's new. She looked nice. In the photo, she is." More silence. "I'm sorry," my father said quietly. "About Christmas. About all of it." The apology caught me off guard. My father wasn't an apologetic man. "You knew it was wrong," I said. Not a question. "I did. But I went along with it anyway, because it seemed easier than arguing with your mother and sister." "That was cowardly." "Yeah, it was." He nodded, accepting the judgment. "I've spent a lot of time thinking these past few weeks about the kind of father I've been, the kind of man I've been. And I've always expected you to be strong, to have it together, to not need anything from us. And you've lived up to that. Maybe too well." "Is that a criticism?" "It's an observation. You made it easy for us to overlook you because you never demanded attention. You never caused problems. You just handled everything quietly and efficiently. I thought that's what you wanted." "It is. It was. But I never stopped to think about what you might need. I just assumed you were fine." "I wasn't always fine. I know that now." "Do you?" He met my eyes. "When Patricia told me they were excluding you from Christmas, I should have put my foot down. I should have said no. We're not doing that to my son. Instead, I took the easy route. I've always taken the easy route with her. It was the most honest thing he'd ever said to me. Why didn't you stand up for me? Because I'm a weak man who spent 40 years avoiding conflict with his wife. Because it was easier to lose you than to fight with her. He paused. I'm not proud of that. You should have fought for me. I should have. I didn't. I'm sorry. We sat with that for a moment. When I was lying on the kitchen floor waiting for the ambulance, my father said slowly, all I could think about was that my son wouldn't come even if I died. That I'd damaged things so badly you'd let me go without saying goodbye. I would have come. Would you? I thought about it honestly. I don't know. He nodded. That's fair. The door opened, and my mother returned, carrying a coffee cup. She stopped when she saw me still there. Maximilian. Mom. I didn't think you'd come. He's my father. She sat down, not meeting my eyes. I suppose we should talk. Should we? Don't be difficult. I'm not being difficult. I'm being honest. I'm not sure what there is to talk about. You've made your position clear. My mother's hands tightened around her coffee cup. I was protecting Emily. From what? From feeling inadequate. And how did that work out? From what Craig told me, her business failed anyway. My mother flinched. That's cruel. It's true. You excluded me to protect Emily's feelings, and she still ended up in crisis. Maybe the problem isn't me. Maybe it's the fact that you've coddled her so much she never learned to handle her own problems. How dare you? How dare I what? Point out that treating your adult children like they're made of glass doesn't actually help them? Emily's 35 years old, and she's never had to face real consequences because you and Dad always swoop in to save her. We help our children. You help some of your children. Austin gets unlimited second chances. Emily gets unconditional support. I get excluded from Christmas and told to work on myself. My mother stood abruptly. I don't have to listen to this. Then don't. You can leave. But understand that if you walk out that door, we're done. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not accepting being treated like I'm both the problem and the solution. She stared at me, shocked. You're giving me an ultimatum. I'm setting a boundary. If you want me in your life, it has to be as an equal, not as a bank account or a handyman or a scapegoat. As your son. If you can't do that, then we're done. You're being ridiculous. I'm being clear. We stood in standoff silence. My father's voice, weak but firm, came from the bed. Sit down, Patricia. Gerald. I won't be spoken to like this by my own child. Sit down. The command in his voice surprised both of us. My mother sat. He's right, my father said. We've taken him for granted. We've treated him poorly. And we're lucky he showed up at all today. My mother's face crumpled slightly. I was trying to do what was best for Emily. At Maximilian's expense. That's not acceptable. She was struggling. So was he. We just never bothered to notice. Tears formed in my mother's eyes. I'd rarely seen her cry. I didn't mean to hurt you, she said to me. I really didn't. But you did. I was trying to keep everyone happy. You can't keep everyone happy, Mom. Sometimes you have to choose. You chose Emily. That's your right. But it has consequences. What do you want from me? An apology would be a start. A real one. Not a conditional one where you explain all the reasons you had to do what you did. Just an acknowledgement that you hurt me and you're sorry. She looked down at her hands. I'm sorry. It wasn't enough. But it was something. The door burst open and Emily rushed in. Alone this time. She stopped when she saw me. Maximilian. Emily. She looked terrible. Her eyes were red. Her hair pulled back messily. She'd lost weight. Dad, are you okay? She asked, going to the bedside. I'm fine, sweetheart. They're keeping me for observation. She nodded, then looked at me. Can we talk? Outside? I followed her into the hallway. She leaned against the wall, arms wrapped around herself. I'm sorry. For Christmas? For everything. Her voice broke. I was jealous. Of your job, your money, your life. My business was already failing, and I couldn't stand the thought of you seeing me fail. So I pushed you away first. You could have just talked to me. I know. But that would have required admitting I wasn't perfect. And I've spent my whole life trying to be perfect for Mom and Dad. You don't have to be perfect. Yes, I do. You wouldn't understand. You're the golden child who actually succeeded. I'm the golden child who just pretended. The revelation surprised me. Mom and Dad think you're perfect, because I've worked my whole life to maintain that image. The good daughter, the stable marriage, the successful business. It's all been a performance. And when it started falling apart, I couldn't let you see. You, who actually has everything together. I don't have everything together. Yes, you do. You always have. I was eating microwaved leftovers alone on Christmas, Emily. Does that sound like having it together? She started crying. I'm so sorry. I ruined everything because I was too proud and too scared and too jealous. And now I've lost my business and I'm probably losing my house and I deserve all of it. I should have felt vindicated. Instead, I just felt sad. What happened with the boutique? I made bad decisions. Ordered too much inventory. Didn't manage my cash flow. Hired too many people too fast. I thought I could do it all on instinct. Turns out running a business requires actual knowledge. Did you talk to an accountant? After it was too late. Now I'm $60,000 in debt, and we're 3 months behind on the mortgage. Did Craig talk to the bank about restructuring the loan? They want the house as collateral. If we can't catch up on payments by April, we lose it. I pulled out my phone and started typing. What are you doing? She asked. Sending you the contact information for a bankruptcy attorney and a nonprofit that helps with foreclosure prevention. They might be able to work something out with the bank. I don't want your pity. It's not pity. It's information. What you do with it is up to you. Her phone buzzed. She looked at the message, then back at me. Thank you. You're welcome. I don't deserve your help. Probably not. But you're still my sister. She dissolved into tears. I let her cry, not sure what else to do. Eventually she composed herself enough to speak. I wrote you a letter. After Christmas. I never sent it because I was ashamed. But I kept it. She pulled out her phone, opened her notes app, and handed it to me. I read it. It was long, rambling, honest. She confessed her jealousy, her insecurities, her shame. She admitted she'd always resented me for succeeding where she'd failed. She acknowledged how wrong Christmas had been. The last line read, I don't know if you can forgive me. I don't know if I can forgive myself. But I needed you to know that I see what I did. And I'm sorry. I handed the phone back. Why didn't you send it? Because it felt like too little too late. It would have been a start. Is it too late now? I thought about it. I don't know. I need time. That's fair. We stood in awkward silence. For what it's worth, Emily said quietly, you were right about everything. Mom coddled me. Dad enabled me. Austin followed their lead. And you got lost in the shuffle. That wasn't fair. No, it wasn't. Can I ask something? Sure. Your girlfriend, Carolyn. Are you happy? The question surprised me. Yeah, I am. Good. You deserve to be happy. It was the first time she'd ever said that to me. The months after my father's heart attack brought slow, careful healing. Not complete. Not without setbacks. But progress. My father went home after 3 days and started cardiac rehabilitation. I called him once a week. We kept the conversations light at first, just checking in. Gradually, we started talking about real things. He told me about his regrets as a father. I told him about my years of feeling invisible. We didn't solve everything, but we started being honest. My mother struggled more. She called me in early March, asking if we could meet for lunch. I agreed, cautiously. We met at a diner halfway between our cities. She apologized again, more thoroughly this time. Admitted she'd favored Emily because Emily needed more attention. Admitted she'd taken my independence for granted. Admitted she'd been wrong about Christmas. I accepted her apology, but told her we needed to rebuild trust slowly. She agreed. Emily and Craig met with the foreclosure prevention counselor I'd recommended. They managed to negotiate with the bank, kept the house by selling off inventory and taking on temporary second jobs. Emily closed the boutique and got a position managing someone else's store. It was humbling for her, but she was learning. Austin paid me back the $5,000 he'd borrowed, plus $300 in interest he insisted on adding. He included a long letter apologizing for minimizing my feelings and calling me robotic. He said Jennifer had helped him see how dismissive he'd been. In April, My family invited me to Easter dinner. Just asked. No demands, no expectations. I brought Carolyn. The afternoon was pleasant, if occasionally awkward. Nobody expected everything to be perfect. That was progress. My niece Sophie asked me about my job, and I explained engineering in terms she could understand. She listened with genuine interest. Afterward, Emily thanked me for being patient with her daughter. She looks up to you, Emily said. I'd like her to know her uncle. I'd like that too. Summer brought my birthday in June. I'd never made a big deal about my birthday. Usually I'd get a card from my parents, maybe a call. This year, Emily called me the week before. We'd like to throw you a party. If you're okay with that. I was surprised. A party? Just family. Dinner, cake, presents. A chance to celebrate you properly. You don't have to do that. I know, but I want to. The party was small, held in my parents' backyard. They'd decorated with streamers and balloons, set up a grill. Austin brought beer. Emily made a cake from scratch. My father gave a toast. To Maximilian, he said, raising his glass. I'm proud of the man you are. Not just for what you accomplish, but for who you are. We're lucky to have you in our lives. Everyone echoed the sentiment. They gave me thoughtful gifts, a book I'd mentioned wanting months ago, tickets to a basketball game, a framed photo of all of us from when we were kids, before things got complicated. After everyone left, my father and I sat on the back porch. This meant a lot, I told him. You deserve to be celebrated. I'm not used to it. You should be. That's our failure, not yours. We sat in comfortable silence, watching fireflies emerge in the twilight. As fall approached, Carolyn and I got more serious. She met my family several times. They were on their best behavior, welcoming and warm. She told me later, she could see the work we were all doing to be better to each other. It's not perfect, she observed, but it's real. That felt true. In November, Emily sent out invitations for Christmas. Real paper invitations, sent a month in advance. You're invited to our home for Christmas dinner. We hope you'll join us. Please RSVP by December 1st. Love, Emily, and Craig. Inside was a handwritten note. Please come. We're not complete without you. I RSVP'd yes. Christmas Day arrived cold and bright. Carolyn and I drove to Emily's house together. Cars filled the driveway when we arrived. My father's blue truck, Austin's sedan, my aunt and uncle. Emily opened the door before I could knock. You came. I said I would. I know. But I was still worried you'd change your mind. She let us inside. The house was warm, filled with the smell of roasting turkey and fresh bread. Sophie and Jake ran up to hug me. My parents greeted Carolyn warmly. Austin shook my hand and pulled me into a brief hug. The dinner was everything Christmas should be. Laughter, good food, genuine conversation. Nobody took me for granted. Nobody expected me to fix anything or provide anything beyond my presence. After dinner, Emily stood with her glass. I'd like to make a toast. To Maximilian, who taught us that love means respect, not just blood. Who showed us that boundaries are necessary. Who was strong enough to walk away when we didn't deserve him, and gracious enough to come back when we did. Thank you for giving us another chance, my father added, and who reminded us that being family is a choice we make every day, not just an accident of birth. I looked around the table at my imperfect, trying family, at Carolyn beside me, her hand in mine, at my niece and nephew, who were learning a healthier version of family than I'd grown up with, at my parents, older and softer, at my siblings, humbled and honest. It wasn't the family I dreamed of as a child. It was better. It was real. Later, as Carolyn and I drove home through the snowy night, I reflected on the past year. The pain of last Christmas had led to this one. The exclusion had forced a reckoning that changed everything. I'd learned that being family doesn't give anyone the right to disrespect you. Love without respect is just obligation, wearing a disguise. I'd learned that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is walk away until people are ready to treat you right. I'd learned that my worth isn't measured by what I can do for others, but by who I am as a person. The hardest part wasn't being excluded from Christmas. It was realizing that for years I had trained my family to use me by always being available, always saying yes, always putting their needs first. I'd taught them I had no limits, so they never looked for any. Setting boundaries felt selfish at first, cruel even. But boundaries aren't walls to keep people out. They're gates that let the right people in the right way. My family had to learn to value me as a person, not a solution to their problems. And I had to learn that I deserved that value. If your family takes you for granted, it's not cruel to step back. It's necessary. Real love survives boundaries. Real family respects them. And sometimes, the greatest gift you can give the people you love is the chance to miss you, to realize what they had, and to choose to do better. That Christmas alone was the worst night of my life, but it was also the beginning of the best decision I ever made. Choosing myself. Choosing to believe I deserved better. Choosing to wait for people who would treat me with the respect I'd always given them. A year later, I had that. Not perfectly, not without ongoing work, but genuinely. Carolyn squeezed my hand as we pulled into my apartment complex. What are you thinking about? How far we've come. How different this Christmas was from last year. Better? Infinitely. She smiled. Good. You deserve infinitely better. I was finally starting to believe that. As we walked into my apartment, my phone buzzed. A group text from my family. Thank you for being there today. Thank you for giving us another chance. We love you. I smiled and put the phone away. They'd learned to say it with actions as well as words. That made all the difference. If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, taken for granted by people who should value you, I want to hear your story. Have you ever had to set boundaries with family members? How did they respond? Did it get better, or did you have to walk away permanently? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button. It helps others who might need to hear this message find it. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for more stories about finding strength in difficult family situations. Share this with anyone who might need the reminder that choosing yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it helps you remember that you deserve respect, you deserve genuine love, and you deserve people who choose you as intentionally as you choose them. Sometimes the family we're born into needs to learn how to be the family we deserve, and sometimes we need to be brave enough to require that of them. Take care of yourselves out there. Set those boundaries. Choose yourself. You're worth it.